Hi Kelly, it's Mary Fidelio, better known online as This Life's For You, me first interpretive mentorship, and guided by divine light. So I just wanted to drop you a really quick video with respect to some of my transformations and activations since finding the beautiful soul that you are, and it just complements a lot of the work that I had already done, because I did actively contribute to a community probably 5+ years, where we were meeting once a month and going to what we called our creation day. And it was a community filled with Reiki healers, chakra healers, you name it, yogis, ayahuasca, yeah, all kinds of stuff, a cacao healing. My God, I can't even remember all that we've done. But anyhow, we've done quite a bit. Sound healing, beautiful bathing, cleansing healings, all sorts of things. And it was an amazing time for me, because it came immediately after doing several workshops where I was always chasing something to further grow. There was always a void. There was always something that was needing to be unleashed or unfolded with me. So I complemented it by going in search within my journey, and that brought me to finding you. And the very first call that I joined was literally the Lion Gate in August. And prior to going to attending that, I remember that I knew that the universe was talking to me, because I'll have experiences where I see trees pretty much like double over and sort of come three-dimensional into me and sort of speak to me, or I'll see messages in the sky. I'll have encounters with the divine, have it be that it's actually Jesus Christ or a vision of Mary or whatever it is that comes to me at the time. And prior to taking your Lion Gate activation, I was finding feathers everywhere. I'm talking like if I go for a walk, they were all over the place. And I was like, okay, feathers, what's the big deal? Feathers and numbers kept coming up. So as a result of me doing what I always do, is I Googled to see what's the meaning behind all of this and everything. So I came, and it was actually in harmony with both finding you and Christina, I want to say Aroche. I hope I didn't butcher her name. She is also an energy, an archangel channeler herself. And I tapped into her because of the educational piece of it, where she's got some complimentary PDFs that were outlining a lot of the numerologies that were showing up for me. I do follow her with respect to her insights from week to week with the messages from the archangels. And I do actively show up for your weekly Sunday archangels, and I follow you so closely online as well. Long story short, my first experience with attempting that the Lion Gate activation was that first of all, my little dog, every time you go to attune and your frequency becomes higher, she's sensitive to that. So, and I know that as soon as you've zenned in, and then it's the archangel or whomever the divine is that's coming through with the message for you, starts to speak, then she settles down. In this particular, in the opening of the Lion Gate, what had occurred was that she had settled in after you had attuned, and it was in the evening when I decided to watch it, because with my chronic conditions, I sometimes would much rather prefer to literally lay down and let go of everything, so that I can really just focus on, not even focus, but just let go, so that I can just absorb all that's coming through you into myself on a cellular level. So I create an environment in my room. Now, I see souls pass by all the time. So the energy that I felt dead smack in the summer, where there was like a heaviness of heat, I could identify with, because there was a cool draft that came in as you were doing the guided meditation piece. And however, my dog did not know how to identify with the energy. So therefore, she went from a sleeping position where she just sort of got startled by this energy that entered the room, and then ended up scurrying off of my bed and literally onto the ground, and was very low to the ground, very much like, you know, the soldiers when they're going through their obstacle courses and stuff like that. So I was in the space of like, I was originally laying down, and then I got up and I was entertaining, looking to receive the new energy that was coming in while comforting my pup. I got her settled. And once this energy came in, I got introduced to my very own archangel that is tied in with my astrology. And I didn't know this. It unfolded in the aftermath of me like collecting all the information of the sequences of events that had occurred to me. And therefore, I had made a point of then taking the information and then doing my research and seeing how it literally spoke to where I am in my journey, right? I am not surprised that I got introduced to Archangel Jeremiah. What I did learn is that once I learned a little bit more about Archangel Jeremiah, now I understand why it is that I have escorted many souls that cross over. You know, they come and they visit me. Like, for example, frequently my deceased niece will come and visit me. My deceased niece was also a beautiful soul that like conveyed when my brother's marriage was coming to an end, type of thing. But I have many past souls, that some that have been lingering here, some that are just like almost needing a little bit of an encouragement to cross over, type of thing. And there's a conversation that occurs, sometimes aloud, sometimes within my own space of my own mind, but I'm always receiving of this. And it's come very natural. Nobody's actually told me do this, do that, or anything. It's just come very natural for me. There's been very, very rare occasions where I've had a dark soul approach trying to enter my space. And at that point, again, it's just a simple closure of the door and saying you're not welcome here, and then I move on. So there's no threat, because I'm forever saging and clearing my space and shielding myself and making sure that I'm grounded. So having said that, that was only literally me scratching the tip of the iceberg at that point, because the activation from that, again, even for I would say about a month after I got introduced to Archangel Jeremiah, I remember having a conversation with my beautiful friend Portia and saying, I really don't know what to do with this energy. Like, I know that they're there, and that's really now all that I do is that, like, it's almost as if it served like a validation of what I already do. And I find that from time to time, now that I'm comfortable with the energy, that if I'm like sort of stuck, then I'll say, hey, I don't only have to call on God. I've got all of these beautiful people, divine souls and spirits that I can call on as well. So there's been an empowering that has occurred as a result of that, where like I've already shed, like, you know, the lack of confidence or the self-doubt, because I'm learning that as I unfold and as I participate in continuing to follow beautiful souls like yourself, that you're serving as a validation of what it is that I'm already experiencing. So if, for example, as I have done in the past, where I don't even like to say it out loud, but foretell certain things that occur. An example, I remember having a really vicious dream before I went away 2 years ago to Jamaica, that I felt like this beautiful landscapes of hills and greenery, the earth was falling apart. Lo and behold, the week that I was there, we actually experienced an earthquake. So is it a coincidence? No. How did I make a point of calling that my father's death had occurred almost immediately following my grandmother's death, and there's a little bit of a story behind that, because he's adopted, And I had said to my mother, because my father was summoned to go and help my aunt when she was sick, that this woman picked him in life and she's going to take him in death. And they literally just died from each other's dates, where she died on Mother's Day weekend, ironic, no coincidence, and he died July, so she was May 10th, 1995, and he was July 11th, 1995. So I had a premonition that that was occurring as well. Now, to fast forward again to current time here, that has not only been the only unfolding that I've received with respect to the blessings. Your guided meditation, when you had done the Mother Mary with Mary Magdalene and Quan Shan, also gave me a beautiful aha moment as well, because I have a lot of root nerve damage that occurs with a lot of my chronic conditions, and my hands and feet can look like somebody has gone to them like with an X-Acto knife, to the point that I've spent years sometimes even studying the stigmata that I was curious about, because it was so aggressive at one point. North American medicine was going to prescribe me some medication because they're labeling it as a severe dermatitis. I also have a very subtle case of vitiligo as well. But because of the damage that I received of the injuries from the near-death car accident, there's a lot of a hot mess going on with my spine that I am actually working through, and I'm feeling better throughout it with the practices that I'm engaging. Point being is that they were going to prescribe me a $700 prescription that would run me $700 a month for the rest of my days. And I'm very sensitive to medication. Like, I mean, if there are 10 side effects, I will create another 5 that goes with it. I have been hospitalized from medication side effects. So therefore, the only prescribed medication that I am loyal and faithful to, and my goal is to even come off of that, is my thyroid medication, which I have suffered with since '79, prior to my car accident. Within this, when my feet, my goodness, again, trying to tell you a lot of it without overly rambling on here, but I was in literally what I would call the bowels of Satan about 2 years ago, just as the pandemic like flared up, where my feet had gotten to their worst. They were swollen, my legs were swelling, I thought I was experiencing blood clots, I was needing to be escorted to and from the washroom with my kids, one on one arm and one on the other. I woke up screaming from the nerve pain and turning on the bath to run ice cold water on my feet. I was very frustrated because there was no way I was going to be able to budget $700 of medication when I don't have any benefits whatsoever. The ironic thing with here in Canada is that sure, they'll honor the long-term disability, but then when the companies make a point of like honoring the actual lengthy disability, the actual benefits don't carry through with them, which doesn't make any logical sense to me, but I took time to process that as well because there was a fury of anger there. Again, long story short, within your guided meditation with the Mother Mary and Mary Magdalene, what I had found was that as you were instructing us as the direction of where you were going within the guided meditation, I had envisioned it even prior to. So when I was in a cave with roses all over the place, and all of a sudden you instructed, we're walking through this beautiful paradise of a cave, and I'm like, holy cow, man. Like, I mean, I really haven't been giving myself like credit for how connected I am to divine, right? So the fact that then you got to the point where the obvious occurred, and that was, I say obvious because once I like actually indulged in the meditation and then experienced the healing that was occurring, I was like, duh, why didn't you think of that before? And that was when you had Mary Magdalene that was literally massaging our feet, that was at the bottom of our feet and washing our feet and massaging our feet with, and then for me, I don't know if I heard it or if I inserted it myself, but the message came loud and clear for me to go out and buy extra virgin olive oil. And I thought, well, it makes sense, because when Noah was communicated by God to build the ark, so that because this flooding was coming, the message to give hope was that of the dove that came to deliver the olive branch and the leaves, right? So I'm like, why didn't I consider this earlier? That, you know, the olive oil, I know, like, I mean, I've been raised on like these homemade remedies from back home, right? Like, I mean, we warm up olive oil and put it in our ears for like when we have earaches with a beautiful heated wool piece of cloth that will draw any kind of infection out naturally. Like, I mean, these are things that I grew up with, and so I felt so like, I don't know, torn between emotions, because I was processing like, you idiot, and then I'm like, stop it, and then I'm like, okay, so you know this, let's just now practice it. And again, although I continuously have certain flare-ups, they have not been as aggressive as what they were. My feet have not suffered what they've been through, because I've had to go through various different ointments that were like steroids that were like literally creating more havoc for my feet than actual healing. But the olive oil and the kind of like clear message that I got as a result of taking that meditation session was impeccable, and I feel so much lighter. And like I said, like, I mean, none of my conditions have literally gone out the window, and I can't begin to stress how by doing the practices that we learn or that we come across with respect to seeing what actually complements where one is within their journey, it's amazing the things that are unfolding for myself. And those are really the two big ones that I've gotten that stick out in my head as a result of following you so passionately. And I continue to do so, because there isn't anything that doesn't come through. Even the other one that's very dear to my heart as well is, again, I think it was another Mother Mary meditation that you had done. And at the time that I did it, I think I was actually live in the moment that you were doing it within the Zoom session. It wasn't until the evening where I was just randomly doing some brainless gaming on my iPad just to sort of break away from life, break away from energy chatter and so on and so forth. And the meditation hit me from left field, because one minute I was playing Heyday, and the next minute I was sobbing like a child, like uncontrollably. I dropped my iPad, put it aside, I grabbed my journal, and I started to process all of the emotions. That was yet again another layer of which, and that meditation was impeccable, because it was the one where Mother Mary had completely unveiled herself to show the equilibrium of how like human beings have put like religions up here and then only contributed to their own limiting beliefs by putting themselves down here, but forgetting that we are created in that image, and therefore we embody, they are a part of us. So it's without taking away of the importance of what divine means for people. It was so beautiful and so impeccable to hear that guided meditation, hear that the Madonna like literally brought herself to a raw state of nudity in the way that we are born, and gave approval to be able to love oneself. And I ended up processing that evening something that I'm going to say was pretty much in my blind spot as a result of being raped on Good Friday on my 19th, in my 19th year of my life, okay? And I did not know that I had residual shame that was in the underlying, I don't know, maybe my blinders were up and I was ignorant to it, but I guess in my head, I guess my ego said, what do I have to be ashamed of? I wasn't the one that initiated it. I didn't do it. But obviously my subconscious mind must have made myself wrong for the outcome of which occurred, right? So I'm going to leave it at that because already it's a 20-minute video, and all I want to say is God bless you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for all of your contributions. I'm here if ever you want to do a live and entertain like some of these like conversations that people might be afraid to have with respect to some of their growing pains, even within the spiritual transformations. So thank you again. I don't know, I don't have the words on how much I appreciate you and how I wish you nothing but blessings and health and continued support, and I hope that all of your dreams come true. So I'm just going to send this off to you as my testimonial. I love you. Thank you again, Kelly. Bye.